Hi everybody, welcome. We're so excited that you could join us today because we are making a Caribbean inspired sweet snack dish today. We're making fritters with baby plantains. Now this unappetizing pile of fruit here are baby plantains that I have skinned and left here. I have about 2 small bunches and this is what I've used. They look extremely black and they're from Ecuador, but if you've not worked with plantains before, the blacker they are, the sweeter and the riper they are. Now the flesh of the fruit does not mash up, unlike bananas, so you have to go by how black the fruit is. I'm gonna flip this over. So baby plantains from Ecuador, and I didn't manage to find this in one of the ethnic stores, so we decided to make something from the Caribbean. So we'll be mashing this up, but a little later. Now right here for our batter, I have 2 whole cups of all-purpose flour, or just maida. I have a few tablespoons of rice flour, and this makes our batter crispy. Here I have some sugar, and we'll add just as much as we need to make it slightly sweet. An egg, some whole milk, some baking soda, maybe just a pinch, and I'm using also ground cinnamon. And of course, once we make our batter, a pinch of salt to bring out the flavor. So I'm going to set the plantains aside and add the rice flour. Give it a good stir. Now working with flour can be messy. You will have that flying all over the place, so be very gentle with it. I'm going to add some sugar. Now plantains, when they are very ripe, they do not become super sweet like bananas do, and the flesh is very firm, so you can actually cut them up and make fritters. But what we are doing today is mashing them up, and this recipe is inspired by the Caribbean, and they are so blessed to have so many plantains growing, just like I did when I grew up in the tropics. Okay, now we're gonna add to this some milk, and I also have water. So we're gonna make this into a slightly thickish batter. Some more water. The rest of the sugar, a small pinch of salt, and of course some ground cinnamon. You want a fairly thick batter. I'm going to break up the egg here right into this bowl that I had the milk, and gently break it up with a spoon before we add it into our batter. Okay, in goes the egg. Needs a good mixing. Okay, that's nice and thick. It's really nice and thick, so we're going to set this aside for now. And this baking soda we will add in toward the end, just before we fry, just a couple minutes before we fry this. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and work on our plantains. Now I'm going to mash these. So these are mashed sweet plantain fritters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a flat plate here. Mash it up with a potato masher. Now you don't have to ensure that it's mashed completely. I know some people do not like the texture of mashed plantain or banana in their mouth. I don't mind at all. So it depends on how much you want to mash it. But just a coarse mash would really do. Just make sure you get all of the big pieces. Okay, and I'm gonna add that into our batter right here. Scrape up everything from the masher. And then add this into the batter. Can you imagine how delicious that's going to be once fried? And there's so many things you can do with plantains because of their firm flesh. So if you do decide to make this recipe and you are in the market for plantains, we're using the baby variety, but you can also use the regular large kind. Just make sure that you find a bunch that has really black skin. Okay. Make sure that it's all well incorporated. I'm gonna taste for sugar and salt. That tastes perfect. And I'm just gonna add the tiniest bit of soda, and you can always increase that once you make your first batch. Just mix it up with your hand, with your finger, just to make sure that it's well mixed. Or you might have small pieces or lumps of soda. A little bit more water. So I'm going to give this a nice good mix. And as I'm mixing this and setting this aside, right here to my left I have a plate that I've lined with a kitchen paper towel, a slotted spoon for frying, and one of these spider spoons onto which I will add the fritters to drain any excess oil. So with that ready, my oil is heating and we'll start frying in a minute. My batter is ready, my oil is hot. I'm going to test it with a small amount of the batter. Okay, we're ready to make our fritters. Don't overcrowd the oil, and you don't want the oil too hot. Because we're working with raw flour and we need it to cook. So it's really low, medium low. And you can always taste the first batch of fritters before you put in your second batch. And always, as a word of caution, when you're working with hot oil, just be very, very careful. And I typically use the back burner, but because we're making a video today, I made an exception and I'm using the front burner. Okay, I don't want them to brown too much, so I'm going to take them out using this spider spoon. Make sure you drain all of the oil and then put them on the plate here. Now another way of making it is also to use a slotted spoon like this. I'm sorry, not a slotted spoon, but a scoop spoon. Just take a small scoop and with another spoon just drop it in. You get a better shape. But drop it in closer to the oil so you don't have strands sticking out, and you have a more uniform shape. Delicious. This with a cup of Indian chai or coffee if you don't drink tea would just be perfect. Okay, I'm gonna make sure these fry on low medium heat. I'm gonna toss these around, making sure every side fries evenly. Okay, I'm gonna fry the rest of these in small batches at a time, and we'll be back when we plate. So I finished frying all of my mashed plantain fritters right here, and I have a plate to serve it. So I'm just gonna pile them up. All of it beautiful, nice and soft. And just wanted to take one and open it up for you. Look at that, spongy. It has pieces of the plantain there, but that's why we didn't mash it all the way through. The batter was nice and fluffy, so you see those holes, and it's crispy. Have a little bit of crispness on the outside because of the rice flour. It's chewy and very lightly sweet on the inside, so we did not over sweeten the batter, and you can actually taste the plantain right in it. So I hope you try this out. And as a serving suggestion, after you plate your fritters, you can dust just a little bit of sugar on top, confectioner's sugar. And I really do hope you like it and try it out. Mashed sweet plantain fritters inspired by the Caribbean. Enjoy.